Hello everyone, what I bring to you today is Mr. Cinderella. Of the story, Saw and his friend Peace are working in a coffee shop. Suddenly 3 gangsters appeared and attacked Peace violently. Saw has great courage, and took the initiative to argue with the gangsters, and they wrestled together. In the end, the gangsters couldn't beat Saw, but they made cruel words before they left. The owner of the coffee shop learned that the two had gotten into a gangster, worried that it would affect the business of the shop, so he drove them away. Saw, who was already depressed, collided with Rigo, a doctor in the clinic. When he went out, Saw swears and is about to leave, but finds that Rigo's mobile phone has been stolen by a thief passing by. Immediately, he chased after her. After returning to the clinic, Rigo found that his mobile phone was missing, so he decided to go out and buy a new one. As soon as the screen changed, Saw chased the thief to an alley, and successfully got back the phone. Just when he was proud, he beat away 3 gangsters before suddenly attacked from behind, and Saw was severely beaten. Coincidentally, Rigo appears and saves him. Rigo takes Saw back to the clinic to treat the wound. Saw accidentally saw a group photo and was full of doubts. At this time, the nurse Yavuz came in, and he taunted Saw indiscriminately. Finally, seeing Saw's distress, he sent him away. It turned out that Saw had an identical photo. The little girl in the photo is Cinderella, who has a marriage contract with her. Saw has been looking for her all these years. Saw speculates that Rigo and Cinderella may have some kind of relationship, hoping to find each other along this clue. Saw, who had just left the clinic, ran into 3 gangsters again, and the gangsters chased after him. Fortunately, his ex-girlfriend happened to pass by and helped him cover. This gave Saw a chance to breathe. It's just that the ex-girlfriend has no more affection for Saw, and she wants to get back together, but Saw refuses to agree no matter what. It was thought that with the help of his ex-girlfriend, Saw could escape, but he was discovered by gangsters. On the other hand, Rigo found that Saw was looking around worriedly after he left the clinic privately, just in time to see him being beaten by gangsters. Rigo pretended to ask for directions, but actually secretly called the police. Saw, who escaped from the tiger's mouth, was brought back to the clinic by Rigo again. Although the two met only a handful of times, Saw has an inexplicable familiarity with Rigo. Knowing that Saw is homeless, Rigo takes him back to his home. As soon as the screen changed, Saw and Peace have been in a state of disconnection since they separated. On this day, when Peace went to the clinic for treatment, he bumped into Yavuz by accident. He fell in love with Yavuz at first sight and planned to pursue him, and Saw, who was cared by Peace, was brought home by Rigo. Rigo put Saw in his room with the excuse that the room was not cleaned. Saw came to Rigo's room while Rigo was taking a shower, trying to find clues about Cinderella. Unexpectedly, it is accidentally discovered that Rigo is gay. From this point of view, Rigo's bringing Saw home is definitely not as simple as kindness. Finally, it was Saw's turn to wash, but because of his arm injury, he had to ask Rigo for help. Saw couldn't help being very shy, but Rigo's excitement was hidden deep. Even so, he still doesn't forget to tease Saw.
Mà sặc sỡ dữ ha, dễ thương đó.
Có ngày tôi soi lại anh cho coi.
At night, Saw lay down next to Rigo. Although it felt awkward, it was nice to have a place to sleep. Although Rigo looks serious on the surface, he always pretends to touch him accidentally, scaring Saw into thinking there is a ghost in the house. The next day, Rigo woke up early in the morning and began to tease Saw.
Chụp hình mát mẻ chi vậy?
Sở thích tôi chụp hình tươi vậy đấy. Thì sao?
Nhớ lựa người có bio đàng hoàng nữa. Bây giờ trên mạng toàn là dân bán hàng đa cấp không à.
Saw was at a loss for words, and was so angry that he collapsed. Rigo saw Saw jumping in a hurry, so he gloated and went to work. Afterwards, Saw came to the clinic for a review, and took the opportunity to ask Rigo about the group photo. However, Rigo didn't know what to ask, but when he learned that he was the only child in the family and had no siblings, the renewed hope in Saw's heart was once again dashed. After the review, Saw ran into his ex-girlfriend at the clinic. The ex-girlfriend once again expressed his desire to get back together, but was rejected by Saw again. He pretended that he already had a wife and children, but unexpectedly, the conversation between the two was overheard by Yavuz. Saw left the clinic. Peace came to Yavuz with a bento box of love, and continued to curry favor with the other party, trying to win a good impression. However, Yavuz gets close to Peace just to use him, get to know Saw, and get revenge on him later, Saw pretended to have leg cramps while Rigo was examining his wound, and took the opportunity to check if there was Cinderella's mole on his neck. After repeated confirmation, Saw finally believed that the fiancé he had been looking for many years was actually the man in front of him.
Anh thật sự là người đấy.
Ai?
Lọ lem.
Bộ cậu bị thần kinh hả? Tôi tên là Khoa, không phải là lọ lem.
Afterwards, he confirmed from Nurse Lyle that Rigo was indeed the only child in the family, and learned that Rigo had long been devoted to him. After returning home, Saw hoped that Rigo could confirm everything himself. Unexpectedly, Rigo will not go home temporarily due to work reasons. Just when Saw was in a trance, he accidentally fell under the bed, aggravating the injury. Desperation. He had to go to the clinic again for an examination, but because it was too late, he was left in the clinic by Rigo to rest. Early the next morning, Saw woke up and didn't see Rigo. Worried. Afterwards, he learned from Lyle that he had a high fever last night, and thanks to Rigo's overnight care, he was relieved. So, Saw decided to go home immediately. However, as soon as Saw arrived at the door, he saw Rigo busy preparing breakfast for himself, and he fled quickly. Before Saw is not sure whether he can accept a man who cares about him like a couple. Rigo's kindness to him will become his burden, but Saw finally came back. Seeing Rigo who was asleep, he couldn't help approaching slowly and kissing Rigo. The moment Rigo opened his eyes, Saw quickly found an excuse to leave. Rigo didn't want to let him go, and teased him while he was eating.
Lúc nãy ăn cái gì mà môi cậu thơm quá vậy? Sao mà tim đập nhanh dữ vậy? Mặt lại còn đỏ nữa chứ. Có cần tôi khám cho?
The next day was the anniversary of the death of Rigo's parents. He started to organize things early in the morning and planned to donate them in the name of his parents. It turned out that Rigo's biological parents died when he was very young. Later, he was adopted by his adoptive parents, but a few years ago, adoptive parents also died in a car accident. Saw remembered that he also had no father or mother, so he decided to treat Rigo as his family from now on. In order to help Rigo lighten the burden, Saw decided to do all the housework at home. Although his injury has not yet healed, Saw prefers to do it himself rather than pay his aunt to clean it. In order to highlight his importance, Saw also offered to button Rigo's buttons. As for why the Cinderella who was thinking about it became a man, Saw decided to think about it later. Saw came to the clinic again for a review, and tried to understand Rigo's preferences from Lyle. Lyle was hard-spoken and soft-hearted, and told Saw everything he knew. On the other side, after Peace learned about Saw from Yavuz, he contacted him as soon as possible. Afterwards, the two made an appointment to meet. Rigo came home from work. He saw Yavuz instead of Saw. However, Rigo was not surprised by Yavuz's sudden appearance, more annoyed. It turned out that Yavuz was Rigo's ex, and the two broke up later. Today, Yavuz still has no more love for Rigo, and hopes that the two can be together again. But when Yavuz learned that Saw was living with Rigo, he regarded Saw as a rival in love. Now his appearance is to swear sovereignty to Saw. Saw came home and saw the existence of Yavuz. He wasn't too surprised, but their words were full of gunpowder.
Anh thích anh Khoa phải không? Để tôi nói cho anh nghe một đạo lý. Mây tầng nào thì gặp mây tầng đó. Anh chưa đủ trình để với cao đâu.
Tôi chả cần biết trời trăng mây gió gì hết. Chỉ biết là nồi nào úp vung đấy. Mà cái vung này thuộc về tôi chắc rồi.
Anh...
Later, knowing that Rigo has completely let go of the relationship with Yavuz, Saw is determined to stay by Rigo's side with peace of mind. On the other hand, in order to get revenge on Saw, Yavuz told Saw's ex-girlfriend about his being with Rigo. Saw's ex-girlfriend was very angry and asked someone to beat Rigo up. Seeing Rigo being beaten, Saw wanted to stop it, but when he thought of what Rigo said before, he decided to follow his example and call the police. After that, he carefully helped Rigo treat the wound. In the evening, Rigo watches a gay movie in a place where no one is around, and is seen by Saw who happened to pass by. Will Rigo use this to successfully take Saw down? Follow me. The next issue will reveal the secret.